Would you like to be the smartest tennis player around town? Well, if that sounds like an interesting proposition, then just stick around with me for a few minutes because I want to give you the opportunity to join a group of other smart tennis players with similar views. But why listen to me? The thing about sport that intrigued me was always the how do they do that, the how do they train, what do they eat, what techniques do they use. So what I did, I ended up going off to study sports science at degree and then master's level. Along the way, I got asked to coach some regional squads, which included some nationally ranked players. And pretty soon, through a really strange set of circumstances, I got myself involved in a full-time squad of players, some guys on the ATP tour around about the challenger level, and some girls on the WTA tour. Now, that was great, but what happened was I found myself surrounded by some of the best coaches and trainers in the world. And pretty soon I had them asking me, hey Paul, you know, what we're doing here, does that have any scientific grounding? Is what we're doing okay? And I was kind of quite humble at first, thinking, well, they're asking me. But then the penny began to drop. The stuff I'd been studying was beginning to give me an advantage. It was beginning to give me a perspective, and that's what the other guys and girls were asking me about. That's why they were asking for substantiation of what they were doing. They felt that I had a perspective over what would be working and what was more likely to head down blind alleys. So that's great, but let me ask you this. Would you like to know what the top coaches and sports scientists in the world are saying about tennis? I'm talking about the technique training and the changes, the training methods used out there on the tour, and even the way young players are being prepared mentally for the tough examination of the pro tour. Do you think that kind of information could help your game? Now, this isn't the kind of info your average local pro dishes out on a regular basis, but then you're probably not your kind of average type of tennis player either. But you can be ahead of the game. Here's another question. People always talk about Roger Federer and they say he moves so well. How does he do it? Let me tell you. Roger Federer always has that knack of moving to where the ball will be. Most people just react to where the ball has been. Think about that for a second. Remember, it's not about information. It's all about informed information, seeing what's working, where things are going to maximize your chances of success, way before the majority of people even know that these advantages exist. For me, this kind of knowledge excites me. It's just the way I am, I can't help it. This stuff that's out there being talked about way before it becomes public. That's the reason I got into sports science in the first place. In fact, there's only one thing I like better than finding out all this stuff, and that is passing it on to like-minded, forward-thinking tennis players who use it to move their games on at warp speed. So with that in mind, here's what I've done. I've created the Tribal Tennis Think Tank, a place where I can share this info with a few people, a few mates really, kick it around, see how it all shapes up, get the people involved to use it and report back on how it all worked for them. And I want you to join me. I want you to join me in shaping your tennis future while it still is the future. Every couple of weeks or so, all Think Tank members will get a personal, private PDF newsletter or a video or something from me outlining some really interesting and cutting-edge thinking that's out there about playing better tennis. We'll be looking at all the ins and outs of all this stuff, and hell, the people using it and taking it away and seeing what worked for them could actually be providing like the test results that shape things other tennis players may well do in the future. I'll even start you off with a few newsletters and videos to get your brains working overtime. But before you ask, the price is just stupid crazy. For just $9.95 a month, you get access to this stuff, you're in the think tank, and rest assured, no one else is getting this stuff, and I will not be posting any of this information on any other sites. The fact is, this price is 2/3 off the original intended price, and many people I spoke to thought that even that was way cheaper than it should have been, considering the nature of the exclusive game-defining material. But why make it so cheap, I hear you ask? Well, I want to get the largest collection of switched on, intelligent tennis players together, and I don't want price point to be a barrier of entry. I want this to build up over the long term, and for this to happen, I want people and I need people to stay involved, not just kind of look around for a couple of months and then leave. We won't make anything happen if people do that, and I really want to make things happen with you. If you're still watching at this point, you must be interested, so go ahead, click the button, let's get started working on the future success of all of our games. I know people use the term no-brainer from time to time, but this offer really needs to be in the dictionary to redefine the phrase. I'm starting up the time machine and I want you in it with me. So click the button and I'll see you on the other side.